Hey there, I'm David Crable. I'm the founder of Forager and the host of the Forager podcast, and I personally spent many hours researching the information on this law page. So in this video, I'm going to go over not only the information that's on this page, but also some other information as well. Try to walk you through it so you don't have to spend many hours to figure it all out yourself. Now, on top of that, I do want you to know that if at the end of this video you still have a question, you can email that to me at david@forager.com. And I will personally respond as soon as I can. So with that, let's jump right in and let me open up the law page. All right, so if you live in Tennessee, I consider you to be very lucky. I'm just going to skip over this top part here. That's just kind of the summary. I'll just dig into the details. But Tennessee has an amazing food freedom law that lets you sell most things from almost anywhere, and it doesn't have really any regulation or oversight. So you're very fortunate because a lot of people in other states, they have to get a kitchen inspection or have to take a training course or have to get a permit from the health department. You don't have to do any of that stuff. So I'm just going to go through it section by section here. So the first thing to note is where you can sell your products. You can sell your products almost anywhere, but you cannot sell your products through restaurants. So this would be food service establishments. Tennessee does allow you to sell wholesale. It allows you to sell indirectly through retail stores, but not through food service establishments. So like you wouldn't be able to sell your products to a restaurant and have them include your products in a menu item. It's not 100% clear whether or not you would be able to put your products in a store's like shop area. Like if you think about Cracker Barrel, it's a good example. You know, they have a little shop up front. And would you be able to sell your prepackaged products in their store? I think you probably would be able to sell there because that's a retail store area, but your products can't be incorporated in a food service establishment's menu, if that makes sense. Otherwise, you can sell anywhere as long as it's within Tennessee. You can sell online, you can ship within your state, and you can sell it from home. You can deliver your products. You can sell at markets. And again, you can sell wholesale through stores. One caveat is if you're going to sell wholesale, meaning you're going to sell indirectly, and someone else is going to sell for you, then you cannot sell perishable products. They have to be non-perishable products, so breads, cookies, cakes, pies, jams, jellies, etc. If they are perishable, meaning they have to go in the fridge, if they contain cheese, if they are cooked vegetables, soups, casseroles, any of that stuff, even perishable baked goods like cheesecakes, things of that nature cannot be sold wholesale. Now you can have an agent, that's the word that Tennessee uses, they can have an agent or an employee of yours sell directly for you. So you don't have to be personally present at a market or a farm stand in order to sell, but it's just the restriction is on wholesale accounts. So you can't be selling through a store if it's a perishable product. So anyway, that is very flexible. It's one of the most flexible of any state for where you can sell and very little regulation involved. All right, moving on to the allowed foods. Again, Tennessee allows you to sell a lot of things. They actually allow you to sell anything except for certain things that are on a list. So I'm going to skip over the categories here because really it is allowed unless it's on this list down here. So your products cannot contain red meat, meat products, meat byproducts, seafood, fish, shellfish, or items that contain alcoholic beverages or unpasteurized milk. Now, alcoholic beverages is a little bit confusing because it's not 100% clear whether you could sell, for instance, an extract, right? Where the purpose isn't really to consume it as an alcohol, it's more to bring out the flavor of whatever you're making into an extract. So in that case, it's not really clear whether an extract would be allowed, but it probably would. But it's a little bit confusing if you just have a little bit of alcohol in something. Like if you were to put a splash of red wine into a casserole, like a vegetarian casserole, would that be allowed? Probably. But if you are trying to sell, say, an alcohol-infused cupcake where the alcohol is a really main featured component, that would not be allowed. So I think if you called the ag department, they'd probably tell you any alcoholic item, anything with alcohol is not allowed. I don't know if it really matters that much if the alcohol is not a featured element. But yeah, so the red meat is definitely going to be the main thing that you're not going to be able to sell. And then you can sell poultry. You can sell things with chicken in them, but you have to adhere to certain requirements. This is also very flexible compared to other states. So Tennessee will allow you to sell chicken products like a chicken pot pie or chicken parmesan. You can sell that as long as you follow this exemption down here. Now it's a little confusing, but if you read through it, basically you should be okay to sell anything as long as you're going to the store, buying the chicken, whether it's federally inspected, state inspected, it is allowable. If you're selling a lot of chicken, like over 75 pounds of chicken at a time, that would fall outside of the exemption. There are also restrictions on wholesale, but again, you can't sell perishable products wholesale in Tennessee, so you shouldn't really have any other application of the exemption that would be applicable to you. So that, I think it's really the 75-pound limit, and you're likely going to fall well under that on any given sale. You also, if you produce your own poultry, you can sell under the 1,000 poultry exemption, and you can sell freely if you're operating under that exemption and using your exempted poultry. Most people are probably going to be purchasing the poultry from the store, but there are very few states that have this kind of flexibility when it comes to meat products, selling items, homemade items that use a chicken or a poultry product. So you're very fortunate. And then again, down here is just a line that says you can only sell perishable products if you are selling directly to the consumer or having an agent or your employee sell directly to the consumer. And there's some extra requirements if you are trying to sell honey, but basically you can sell a lot of honey, up to 150 gallons per year from your home. Okay, moving on to limitations. Very few limitations. There's no sales limit. Other states would say, you can only sell $50,000 worth of product. In Tennessee, you can sell as much product as you want from home. No limitations there. The main limitations are you cannot sell to other states. You cannot sell if you are producing your products out of a commercial kitchen. It has to be a residential kitchen. Tennessee doesn't go so far as saying that it has to be your own residential kitchen. It just says it has to be a residential kitchen. But if you wanted to use, say, a shared kitchen, a shared commercial kitchen, or a restaurant's kitchen or something that would allow you to produce a lot more at scale, they'd say those products do not fall under the exemption here. You cannot sell that under the Food Freedom Law. At that point, you'd need to be getting a permit from the health department. Now, one major thing for a lot of people is that you do have to include your home address on the product label. So the business address is required. You cannot put a P.O. box on your label. It has to be your home address, and there's no way to get around that. So that's one major restriction. That's why I put it as a limitation up here. That's one major thing about Tennessee's laws. It gives you a lot of flexibility, but at the end of the day, the ag department wants to be able to take a product that somebody has, and if there was an issue with it, be able to look at that label and see your home address and be able to track the issue with the food back to its source, which is your home kitchen. A few other things that need to be on your label would be your business name, your product name, the ingredient list in order of which one's the most prominent, your phone number, and then this a very specific statement which says this product was produced at a private residence that is exempt from state licensing and inspection. This product may contain allergens. That exact statement needs to be on your label. It should not be tiny. It should be, I'd say, at least a 10-point font, if not larger. You want to be able to inform the people that are buying from you that what they're buying is non-inspected and is coming from a home kitchen. They'll likely be aware of that anyway, but it's just part of the laws that you need to be very upfront. Now, not everything that you sell has to be completely prepackaged at home. Tennessee does also offer quite a lot of flexibility. If you are at a market, you can sell from a bulk container, and then there are just certain extra labeling requirements depending on how you're selling. So if you have a bulk container, say you sell bread and you have a big bread basket, and you're, putting bread into bags on the spot, then the container, that bulk container or basket or whatever it may be, has to have the label on it so people at the market can see it. If your products aren't packaged or sold from a bulk container, you have to put a label on a placard at the point of sale. If you sell online, the labeling information has to be there so they can see it on the web page before they buy. Again, the whole point is to try to make sure that people are informed before they buy the product. And then if you sell over the phone or through a custom order, you have to inform the customer that the product is homemade, is exempt from licensing and inspection, and it may contain allergens. And then if they request the label, then you can provide that to them. So, following the labeling requirements is probably the biggest thing, but otherwise, you're very free to sell. There are some resources down here. The actual law itself is Tennessee Code Annotated 53-1-118. That's the main thing. There are some definitions here in 53-1-102. Definitely encourage you to read the law itself just so you know it and can be confident if you're ever questioned anywhere. This official site here is really interesting. It's just basically the Ag Department saying that they are not regulating anything. They are available to discuss food safety with you, but they are not going to tell you if something is allowed or is not allowed. That is up to you to determine. They say you can talk to your own lawyer if you want. And they're also saying that if you're not following the requirements and an inspector comes to a market and sees that you are not following within the exemptions provided by the law, then they may enforce you. They may regulate you. Okay. And then if there is an issue with your products, that may cause the Health or Ag Department to come inspect your home. But otherwise, you're not going to have any inspection. You're not going to have any licensing. And the Ag Department themselves are saying, we're not going to regulate you in any way, really. Just as long as you're following the rules and the laws, you're good to go. If you do have any questions, you can reach out to this specific contact email and phone number. And then if you're interested in the law history, there are a number of law dates here as well. Tennessee's background, they had a domestic kitchen law for a long time, and then they created a home-based kitchen law, and then in 2022 they completely replaced that with the food freedom law, which mostly improved everything. I think that, if I recall correctly, you used to be able to sell to restaurants before, but the requirements and the process to actually get the domestic kitchen license in order to sell that way was complicated as far as I recall. Overall, the food freedom law in Tennessee is an excellent law, and you're very fortunate to live in this state. And if you have any questions, you can also feel free to email me. My email is david@forager.com, and get on selling.